Frothies, Daggy and Barney are back with you to preview round 22 of the NRL. Some big guns are back. We've got some clutch games where this will decide which way some of these top 8 teams are going to head. Plenty to talk about, Barn. Are you travelling all right there?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Been a pretty stressful 48 hours since I last saw you. Breakdowns and shit attitudes and all sorts of stuff going on at work at the moment, but that happens pretty much every day. So
One day I'll ask you this and you'll have something nice to say.
you never know. Never know. We'll try
Never know.
next time I'm on annual leave, maybe.
Okay.
Next time I've got a week off.
That's all right. When some rich benefactor sponsors Footy and Frothy, so we could both do this full time, we'll both be happy, eh? So if you're out there, any flush corporate bookmakers, come and get on board and pay us lots of money to talk shit. So it'll make us both feel much better.
Please.
You know where to find us.
How you going, big fella?
Yeah, I'm tired. I've been waiting to do a show for like an hour.
Yeah,
But no,
it's
all
been
good.
a while.
No, I'm fine. Coming off the man flu, missed a couple of days' work with
Yeah. So
pretty
you
rough
went down
man
with
flu,
it, did
but
you?
bounced back as you can tell. So looking good.
Very good. Just
Ish.
pepping your
Looking
step.
greyer than last time. Anyway, alrighty. Let's kick off. Round 22 kicks off on Thursday night at the Gabba with the Broncos hosting the Chooks. For Brisbane, they get Flegler back, which means Palliser goes back to the bench. Dean Mariner's onto the wing for Jesse Arthurs, and Pierre Cora keeps his side with Tapau coming out. For the Chooks, Radley is back at lock, interesting enough. And Nathan Brown goes back to the bench. Sia Wong to the extended reserves, and Brandon Smith is named at hooker, and Turpin is at 14. But that, of course, could change as we get closer. We'd sort of suggested that maybe they could do worse than keep Smith and Radley in the back row. But Robbo obviously has coached far more premierships than us, so let's see what is produced there. The rest of both teams looks pretty close to full strength, or as close to full strength as you'd expect at the moment. What do you reckon about this, man? Interesting way to start the round.
Yeah, very good matchup. As you mentioned, with both teams pretty much very close to full strength. The again another do or die game for the Roosters. They've been they seem to have improved week on week for the last sort of 3 weeks, even though there's just some results obviously didn't go their way, but they have been playing a much steadier brand of football and been a little bit better in the middle, considering some of the games they got absolutely torn apart earlier in the year. I think you will see them be pretty desperate, and there'll be a fair bit of ball movement, which they may be able to get a couple of tries out of it, but I can't see them winning this game. Brisbane have been too consistent, especially in their attack and the way that they play their footy through, especially with the 1-2 punch through the middle with the big guys in Carrigan and Haas, and Walsh has been electric pretty much every game that he's played in, sizing up some outside backs to put away his supports and even score points himself. So pretty sure Brisbane will be in front when the final whistle goes here, 1-12 margin, just because of that the desperate attempts from the Roosters, I would imagine, for points. I'm going to go man of the match, Reece Walsh. I really like what we saw from him last week coming back into that team, and I think he'll be the difference between these two sides. And I'm going to go with Herbie on the left. I think there's a little bit of frailty there on that hand edge for the Roosters' defence, and I'm going to go with Herbie to score the first try.
You've left me with nothing. Thanks, mate. That's good.
No worries.
That was all I had to offer. So, whatever he just said, I think this will be close for a bit. I think the starting forward pack will be up for this, but
Yep.
I think once we get into second stint, Haas and we really get into the rotation, I think Jensen's work, Hetherington and Willison's been good, and that will start to tell. Once they start getting the ascendancy through the middle of the field, the rest will fall into place. I'm going to go 13 plus, but I think it's going to be really tight for a long time, and it'll just be the late gear we've talked about.
Minute thing.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes, they might find 2 or 3 tries and put Roosters' season to bed. I am terrified of the Roosters, though, because if it all clicks and they come back, and I can see them getting on that sort of 5 or 6 week streak. But going to stick solid. Brisbane, I think, will win well enough by the end of the night. We head to Tamworth to kick off Friday night. There's the Tigers on paper host the Bunnies. Tigers actually probably rolled out their best team they've rolled out in a long time, with Luke Brooks back. Laurie is at 6. Charlie Staines back onto the wing. Tupou moves into the centres with Stafford Toe, which is an interesting centre combination. Stefano, Clemmer, Papali, Bateman, and Bolle is the forward pack. And if it was a different time and age, I would suggest this would be a great forward pack to take on this South forward pack. But South, welcome back, Latrell Mitchell. He goes all right. And Jai Arrow moves back to the front row to start with Hame Sele in the front row. Kolomatangi host the back row. Moali, Havili, Cartwright, and Tom Burgess is the bench. Obviously, Blake Taff makes way for Latrell. There's not much hope here. I wish there was. When they went earlier in the year, they held them to 6-0 for a long time, but we're in a different place now. I think Souths need to get their shit together, though, because time is catching up with them, and they need to get things right. But I think they win this and win well. I won't be watching, but Barn will tell us how they won 13+. Man of the match, Latrell, and first try scorer, probably Alex Johnson, and probably untouched, just to send a shiver down my spine as I, play Mario or something.
I look forward to seeing if you actually do hold that promise and not watch this game. I think it's unlikely. Probably about as unlikely as the Tigers winning this match. I've got South 13+ also, mate. Yeah, I think the Tigers might be up for it again. Another one of similar to what you said there for the Broncos Roosters game, and put it to especially in the middle of the field, put it to the South side for a little while in this match. Maybe the first half, maybe just past the first half, but yeah, I think there's just too much skill out wide for the South Sydney side, and I think you'll see the likes of Campbell Graham and Isaiah Tass and Latrell sort of having a bit of fun out there towards the back end of this game. Jai Arrow going back into the middle I think probably a good move actually for South Sydney. It gets him a little bit more involved, a bit more aggression in the middle of the field, especially coming up against this Tigers pack who have been good for the majority of the year. So yeah, South 13+. I'm going to go Cody Walker, man of the match. I think Latrell coming back frees him up, provides another option for him, and he doesn't get targeted as much as we've seen recently. I'm actually going to go Latrell first try scorer. So it would not be surprised at all if you see that short ball or a cutout to Latrell and one-on-one beat somebody to score. So
Probably a set play off a shitty fucking drop ball in the Tigers'
10
back end
meters
and
out
then
in front of the
scrum.
post.
Yeah, exactly. Main event, Storm and Eels on the Friday night at Marvel Stadium. Young Tona Mapia is back into the centres with...
he's been out for a long time.
Yeah, he's now back, and I've just forgotten who comes out. What's his name? The other centre. Apologies to him. Remus Smith, of course.
Smith.
No Nelson, no Tarek. They also have... the starting pack is now Kamakamika, Walsh, Lorio, Eisenhuth, King, Garlic, McDonald, Katoa comes back onto the bench, and Wishart. For Para, Andrew Davies starts for Sean Lane, who's out with his elbow/head knock. Joey Lussick straight into the country and straight into the team. He's on the bench at 14. 16, in fact. Luca Moretti, Offengawe, Madison, the rest of the bench. We know Para get up for these games. We know of all the teams they snipe against, it's Melbourne and Penrith. Are they a hope here?
Well, I was convinced. Obviously, I forgot that Nelson is out for a little bit. I was convinced that Melbourne would be pretty comfortable against this Parramatta side. But now that forward rotation, if Parramatta keep it close for that first 20, 25 minutes, they'll be able to put some pressure on this Melbourne side, I would imagine. This is now changed to a flip of the coin, in my opinion, for this match. Going to stick with Melbourne. They were my first thought. I just think the halves will be very important in this match. And Wanga Blake, if he's going to defend the way he did last week, Warbrick might have a hat trick in the first 15 minutes of this game with Jerome Hughes and Munster specifically targeting that edge early. Yeah, Melbourne 1-12. I was going to go Munster, but now I'm going to go Jerome Hughes, man of the match, targeting that left-hand edge in defence for Parramatta, Wanga Blake and the centre that will be defending out there inside of him. So, and that leads me to think that Warbrick scores the first try with Wonga Blake standing 10 metres off the sideline waving at him as he goes over.
It does. The script does write itself here, and the more I think about this, the more it might just be my disaster class bet this week. But I really want to make a case for Para here. But what actually scares me a little bit is the fact Melbourne got beat last week. The
Yeah,
Melbourne bounce back. They'll be up for
never a
this,
good thing.
and they will. I think they can match and just match the Para pack in the middle with no RCG here. I think if Para were full strength, I would almost declare a moral
Yeah,
spread.
Dylan Brown and RCG, I'd
Yeah,
probably be tipping
I would
Parramatta.
be tipping
Yeah.
Para too. They don't have them. I'm going to say again, class prevails in the end. I think a Munster crossfield kick or opening up a gap there, and agree Warbrick does score first, just shredding that edge as you've pointed out. And I'm going to stick with that and say that Munster will be man of the match on the back of it. 1-12 Melbourne. Very interesting to see because if Para can produce their best and beat them, I guess their life chances here. This is now, again, like, as I said earlier,
Yeah.
a clutch game, do or die, because you drop one here and it's a hard road back.
It's another one of those, 4-point swing games. Probably not as close with like Melbourne win. They probably go close to cementing that top 4 position.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it a lot harder for anyone to run them down. And Parramatta wins, it makes life a lot easier at the bottom of the 8 there for them. So
Interested to see. Super Saturday kicks off with the Raiders hosting Newcastle at Seabus for the Raiders. Corey Horsburgh gets to play. He only copped a fine, actually, just reading through this. And there, as per program from last week, Daniel Saifiti's out for Newcastle. Brodie Jones comes onto the bench. Jacob starts. Adam Elliott is also free to play after being fined last week. Look, in a world where I need to catch up some tipping points, I'm going to tip Newcastle here.
Yep.
I'm going to say that perhaps the Newcastle style is that sort of into the line, stretching those edges and getting Ponga involved for those wingers is going to suit here. I think if they can match him in the forward pack, they can cause an upset. I think it's an upset down there.
Yeah, it is.
I am going to say man of the match, Kalen Ponga, for that reason. Made to look very good by Jackson Hastings, as has happened for the last month. First try scorer, Greg Marzu. I think those outside backs have all found form, and I know Canberra keep managing to get out of jail, or get close to getting out of jail, but I think that's what happens. Very interested to see because
Yep.
it slightly keeps Newcastle's hopes alive and dampens the Raiders' hopes should this go on. But the Raiders do keep winning, but they concede points, and I think if they can,
Oh,
if they're going to open up with
fuck's
20
sake.
or 24 points, the door's open here. You right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our dog just knocked all my shit over, almost pulled the roadcaster off the
Yeah.
table. It's yeah, that happens. I was pretty much going to tip the same way as you, but I've stuck with the Raiders. Newcastle's form on the road this year's been pretty horrendous, to be honest. They have not picked up many games at all when visiting their opposition. So I know they've been a different team the last couple of weeks, and they have been very good with a win against Melbourne last week and some other recent wins. But I'm going to stick with the Raiders. I think they're at the point now where they need to put up or shut up for their position in the top 8. And a win here would really go a long way for them to pretty much they've not much of a chance of missing the 8 if they win this one. So Raiders 1-12. Fogarty man of the match. He's been the orchestra of pretty much all their wins this year. And I am actually going to go for Newcastle to score the first try with Marzu as well. I'm going to go with you there. I just think that might be able to take on that edge there and score down on the left. So
5:30. The Dragons host the Seagulls at Wynn with Connor Malaysian makes his NRL debut off the bench in place of Moses Mbai, who's on the plane to England. Paseka's out, Alloway's out, Lodge and Sipley start the game at prop. So I guess Matt Lodge, very timely pick up for Manly. Bullymore comes
absolutely.
onto the bench, and it is DCE's 300th game. And fun fact, he's the only 300th game player to have played all 300 games in the one position.
There you go.
Yeah, And we should. I mean, we might save and pay a bit more. We piss in his pocket every week, but he's a very, very good
We do.
halfback. Obviously, a long-time Origin winning captain, premiership winner. He's done it all, Daly, and
Clive Churchill winner.
yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
think sometimes I don't think he gets from, especially from Manly fans, gets the respect he deserves. But absolutely fair,
Absolutely
probably
not.
the best halfback in the comp. So as far to say, and still kicking goals, so to speak.
Yeah, but the length of his career, he's definitely right up there. He's been very good, especially the last 5 or 6 years of his
Hmm.
career. He's really matured into one of the better halfbacks running around. I can't give the Dragons hope in this game. I was I was going to tip Manly 13 plus, but I just think that some of the defensive frailties we saw there might come into the fact. And if the Dragons are just throwing the ball around at the back end of the game, having a bit of fun, they might be able to keep it to 1-12. I expect a lot of points in this game. It could end up being 40 or 50 to very little, but um, I wouldn't be surprised if it's more like 40 to 30 or something like that at the back end of this game. And Manly to win 1-12. I think Gary could be man of the match. He's always in and involved around when points are being scored. So if there's a lot of tries, I expect him to have a lot of involvement in all that. And I'm going to go with Sully to score the first try up
Right.
against from the Dragons up against that Manly edge, the pot plant from last week, Garrick. Not Parker, sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, not much more to add. I think this is, this should be the wooden spoon team, and they're playing a team borderline 8. If you're going to make a case, it would be the injuries that have happened in the last couple of weeks. But as I said, Lodge is pretty good cover, if not better cover than what they had, and they'll do a job there. Their back three of that forward pack are all quality. So I agree. Those again, outside backs going to do a job on a bunch of outside backs that are going to be pulled apart. I'm going to go with the fairy tale and say DCE 3 points here. I think he'll be doing the pulling. And first try scorer, Cooler, keeping the hot streak going from last week. He'll be flattered definitely by just being put into a couple of holes from
Some good form.
DCE.
He might even be up against Parker, so he might be a chance. Parker on the left or the right?
Well, Cooler's on the
Can't even
same
think
team,
at
so
the
it's
moment.
hard for him to score against him, but it'll be quite the
Oh
trick
yeah,
if they
that's
do.
true. Fucking hell, it would be good, wouldn't it? What am I even talking about?
It's been a long day.
It
The
has.
Panthers and Sharks at Bluebet, where I believe Penrith are playing for the rest of the season, basically.
Yeah.
For Penrith, Spencer Liney's out. Eisenhuth comes onto the bench. No at Tango just yet. Braden Trindle stays at 6. Moylan 18th man. Some suggestion around today he might be on the way to England himself. Wade Graham's back and starts in the back row. And Dale Finucane is out for the season, for better or worse. But I guess it means McGuinness will be playing 80 minutes at lock from now on. Talakai's on the bench, as you suggested, may well happen. I assume he spends his time in and around that forward rotation. I
Yeah,
can't.
late shift out of the side last week, which was interesting.
Yeah, maybe there's a niggle or something or whatever. I am going to suggest that. Well, after the two showings they've put in, I can't tip them to beat Penrith, can I? I'm going to say.
Nope.
I'm going to say this is another late blowout. Actually, I think
Yep.
Penrith will get their tail up. I think those outside backs, especially once they start getting that bit of broken field and into space, are going to rack up some points. First try scorer Stephen Crichton, taking his, we those edge defence and that little corridor there is concerning. Man of the match. Actually, I'm going to go with James Fisher Harris, who was outstanding last week and now comes up against a similar sort of forward pack. He can get away and bully here. So this might well be another nail in the Sharkies' coffin. I'm sorry to say, Barn.
No, I'm with you, mate. I can't see anything apart from heard a bit of commentary during the week that Sharks probably should just go and start playing like Penrith did in 2003 when it was just all out attack. Don't worry, but back yourself to score 30 or 40 points if the other team's going to score because they haven't been able to stop the points this year. So want to just go complete all out attack. One or two hit ups in the middle. Probably they lend themselves to play that way as well because they have been missing a bit of size through the middle during the year and have been copped a bit of a bashing from some teams through the middle as well. So
Well,
Who
those
knows?
smaller forward pack teams is what their go has to be, doesn't it?
I think so. So
I don't think it's
I do
Fitzgibbon
expect
style, but I know what you're saying.
no, but to finish out the year, like obviously
Yeah.
there's be a reset coming, and that's I think that's probably their really only option if they're going to be at least competitive coming into the finals. But you'll see a bit of desperation out of them. I think the defense will be slightly better than what it has recently. Obviously, it's still a die now in this next 3 weeks, and they've got two of the better teams in opposition in the next 3 games that they play. So they're going to have to be good to not to not drop out of the 8 over the next 3 weeks. But yeah, Penrith 13 plus. I think they get away with the game at the end of the game. I'm going to go Liam Martin for man of the match. I think obviously lines up
Well,
against that left-hand
there it is.
defense for
Yeah.
the Sharks, and we'll go that same spot there. We'll just go one person wider with Critter to score the first try.
Exactly. Sunday is at Salter Oval, Bundaberg, as the Bulldogs host the Dolphins up there. For the Bulldogs, Kickow is back for the first time since round 4, as is Adokar. Preston also back, so some big ins there. Toby Sexton, let me just read this through. Burns, Preston, Adokar, Liam Knight named on an extended bench. Sutton, Sexton, Kickow all ins. No Parham, no Tapine, and no Alamote. Kiraz and Burns are the centres. Blake Wilson keeps his spot. For the Dolphins, Hammer is back to fullback. Nicarima back to 5'8", and Milford to the bench. Tuari is the new centre. Jerry Marshall-King has been named despite his shoulder injury. Harrison Graham goes back to the bench. Kenny Bromwich moves to lock after playing basically everywhere else this season. And no Ray Stone. We get Jared Wallace back as well on the bench. Are there any hope here, the Dogs?
I don't think so. I think this is the Dolphins' end of year party. To be honest, I think they win the middle pretty convincingly, and then some of these talented outside backs we saw killing oppositions earlier in the year get to have a bit of fun on the back of it. I can see Hamiso, Azarko, Ewan Aitken having a pretty good time of it in the middle stages of this game and towards the back end. So I'm actually going to go Dolphins 13 plus. I think they win, and they win quite comfortably. Dogs might put a couple of tries on in the first half, but I think by halfway through the second half, you're going to see a pretty much a demolition job from the Dolphins. Going to go with Hamiso, man of the match. Might score a couple and set up a couple back in that fullback spot. And I'm going to go Aitken first try scorer.
Fuck me, Barn. Jeez, you leave me with nothing these days. I'll do what he said. There you go. No, I was going to say all of that. Aiken first try, but for the sake of the argument, if Jerry Marshall-King's here, give him 3 points. Why not? I was thinking the same way. Hammer as well. Titans and Cowboys at Seabus wraps us up where Joe Stimson is back into the starting side with Cleese Haas going back to the interchange. No Tino. Chris Randall and Chris Randall's on the bench with Aaron Clark at lock. They might swap. For the Cowboys, Nanai is out with Finu Fiaki comes into the starting side. Sam McIntyre onto the bench, former Tiger actually. Wasn't he at the Titans himself? I think he was.
It was. Yes.
Tanua Brown is back on interchange. He's not a bad bloke to bring out of nowhere. Griffin Neem is also. Where are we here? Oh, yeah, Griffin Neem's out. Sorry. Tanua Brown is on the interchange. A few injuries for the Cowboys, but does it make a difference here?
I don't think so. No. I think this will be one. I think they'll really stretch their legs in this game. You'll probably see them over the next 2 or 3 weeks really try and tighten up their attack and put on a lot of points in the next couple of matches that they play, and then probably that 2 or 3 week run into the finals really concentrate on defense and just try to meld it all together and put in that semi-finals type football. But their attack's been flying recently, and I think they just fine-tuned it in this one, to be honest. I think they get plenty of opportunities out wide. Drinkwater's been the guy who's been in sublime form. He's probably been in the form player of the NRL, realistically, the last, 4 to 6 weeks. I can see that continuing here with a man of the match performance. I'm going to go Luciano Leilua to score the first try. Barge over on that the right edge there for the Cowboys. 13 plus.
Yeah, same. But different. 13 plus Cowboys. I think they're going to start opening the what do you say? Kind of an analogy. They're going to start scoring points here and putting on a show. First try scorer Peter Hicker, who's been in pretty good form lately.
Yep.
And man of the match, Luciano, who has also been in pretty good form lately and has been fantastic. Getting with no Tino here, I think there's some hard work for this small pack when you're going to have Randall
Yep.
in
Mo's
part of your
going to have
forward
to work
rotation.
himself into the ground again.
Exactly, which he will. I'm sure he picks up a point.
He will.
But
He absolutely will.
I don't think it helps. You going to crack on to this disaster class, or you want to have a break?
Yeah, we can get the disaster class. Absolutely.
Beauty.
So we both dropped another $50.
Of course we did.
just for something different. Minus $710 for yourself. Minus $599.50 for me. I've got. I'm going to go with the 3 away teams that I think are going to win this week. Manly, Dolphins, Cowboys, all head to head. It's a pretty short little bet there, but at $3.20, I'm going to put $30 on that. Hopefully, get 90 odd bucks back.
Mm-hmm.
South and Melbourne both to win 13 plus. Latrell anytime try scorer and Will Warbrick anytime try scorer. Get you $7.50.
That's for the all four.
$10 on that. That's for the 4.
Yep.
And then I'm going to have an anytime try scorer for Saturday night. I'm going to go Crichton from Penrith, Garrick from Manly, and Marzu from the Newcastle Knights. That's another one that's around that $7.50 mark. $7.30. I'm going to have $10 on that.
I am going to have $30 because I just looked at the price, can't believe it. $30 on Will Warbrick first try scorer. He's $9 at the moment. I think that is more than fair.
Beautiful.
So 30 on him, and I'm going to have $20 on the Parramatta edges, all in. Martin, Crichton, Peachy, and Sorensen, all to score, and that's $35.
Panthers edges.
Panthers edges. So what did I say?
Yeah. Para.
Panthers edges. $36 we'll call it. So that'll get me out of trouble. As always,
So
please. What's that?
Both centers, both back rowers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please gamble responsibly.
Absolutely.
What's got you frothing, David?
Meat pies.
Mm.
I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of tries scored this weekend, and I'm looking forward to some of the play that gets that brings about these tries. I think there's going to be high scoring, pretty much majority of matches this weekend, and I'll be surprised if you don't see minimum 4 or 5 tries in pretty much every game this weekend. So I think the try celebration tally might get a good kick in the backside by the end of this weekend.
They're all points games, aren't they?
I think so.
What's got me frothing? For Thursday night, actually, I'm interested to see how the Roosters line up. Whether that means anything, or whether we just get the get the texture out and get rid of them. I think that's going to be physical. I know ultimately we both said Brisbane will get away with it, but just looking forward to see what they bring to the table. And sneaky little froth over seeing Newcastle upset the Raiders. I think it's a genuine chance.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you. Look at that. We got through it.
Thank you.
It's bedtime now. Check out rugbyleaguemerch.com. Buy some hats and shirts and steins. Leave some feedback. And there's been some fantastic feedback and response to our YouTube of late. Jump on there and tell us what you think below. Facebook, you can find us. Threads, you can find us. We aren't on X because fuck that. And Instagram, you'll find some clips as well. Thank you, Barn.
Get on there. Get the comments flowing, the likes, the shares, all that kind of stuff.
Especially as we barrel into the back end. Because as we get to the back end, we've got our very, very fun bold prediction show, and we want as much bold predictions as possible for that show. But that's still a couple of months away yet, but that is a crowd favourite and my favourite show of the year as well.
Absolutely, mine too.
Cool. All right, matey, go and get some sleep.
Good night.
See you, buddy.
See ya.